What's happening, party people? I am still in Chicago, Illinois. You want some proof? Here it is. Got anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of snow certain parts of Chicago last night. I was driving in it. I love the fact that Chicago is mostly flat. That way, didn't have any issues with sliding around trying to get up and down hills. That was great. Anyway, I wrapped up last night. I did find my slave cylinder and master cylinder and clutch cylinder parts. Man, that was kind of scary. I knew that was one of the first things I took out my car a week and a half ago. I hung it across something in the garage, couldn't find it. Took me 30 minutes. I also ordered the wrong heater hoses. A lot of times when you're doing these manual swaps, you're ordering parts for the manual swap off of NA 850s. Evidently went to the heater hose area and got the part numbers for the NA heater hoses. They don't fit. They don't go around the turbo parts. So this morning I am looking for heater hoses. I would like to find some today. If somebody has a set of P80 turbo heater hoses that they want to loan me, I'd be glad to come get them, borrow those things from you in the Chicago, Illinois area. Other than that, I ordered a set overnight. The quickest possible way to get those was to go through FCP. So let's hope the shipping process doesn't fail me. I'm supposed to be at my cousin's wedding Friday. Today is Wednesday. That's looking kind of blink. I don't know if I'm going to make the wedding. I really do not like missing personal events like graduations, weddings, and things like that for relatives, especially if I'm able to make it. So that's in Oklahoma, Texas area, north of Dallas, real close to the Oklahoma line. So hopefully I'll somehow get this car done and get out of here in a decent amount of time. That's a 12-hour drive, and I got to get a trailer, and the weather's not good. That may be a 14, 15-hour drive. So if I don't leave here by noon tomorrow, probably not going to make that wedding. That is horrible, but we'll see what happens. So I am moving right along. Having some decent progress yesterday. I hope to have this car running today and then take care of tidbits on it. But I'm not going to get it running without these heater hoses. So that's where we're at. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching. Man, you know, I do leave some decent tips in these videos. If you're paying attention, you can avoid some costly mistakes. Like one guy mentioned from yesterday's video, he pressed that fuel pump relay in just to test the relay, and the dang fuse panel crumbled under the pressure, and he hadn't had his car running since. He's been jacking around with that. So please take note of these special tips, man. And I can't remix a video every time I have another tip. So I appreciate you guys watching and avoiding these crazy pitfalls that old vehicles always trying to serve up. So thanks for watching. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert. That's me. This video contains things that I tinker with throughout the day. For step-by-step detailed instructions of those tasks, you can click on the links in the comment section below. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. This video also has tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. So, thank you very much for watching. Kicked off the morning, stopped by Swedish Car Parts. They are making seat skins, people. That looks like an S60 seat skin. V70 P2 seat skin. We do not have the 850 seat skins yet. We are still working on it. Man, Swedish Car Parts has a lot of love for 240s. But where my 240 people at? Now, a few weeks ago, we asked about the snow scoops that covers the air inlet vent right in front of the windshield. I had a couple of people that tried to help. However, none of the ones that tried to help had the ones we need. We need one OEM snow scoop. We want to borrow it. How long was we going to borrow it for?
2 weeks. I'll give you back 5 sets of new ones.
If you have one of those OEM snow scoops, passenger side or driver side, we want to borrow it for 2 weeks. If you need a deposit, we'll give you a deposit on the thing. When we get them repopped, we will give you however many sets you want. 2 or 3. If you need a couple of spares, we'll give you those for your generosity and kindness. We want to get those 240 air vent snow scoops repopped. Please, if you see anyone that has, we don't want the one that goes all the way across both vents. We want the 2 smaller ones, left or right, doesn't matter. If you got one and you want a set, send us that one and we'll give you 2 or 3 sets. How many sets you need, man? Just tell us what you want. We'll get them to you. Just say the word. You've seen stuff that has been made for the 240s here. Man, most people that sell 240 stuff get it from here. Look at that. Brand new shifter trim pieces. And for you guys that want these air vents that go over the windows, brand new unbroken plastic. You don't have to go out to the junkyard every 3 days and search through every car that resembles a 240 to look for these things unbroken. We got them sitting here waiting on you. Just get on the website, add them in your cart. We'll get them right to you, man. These things are 240 pieces that make your car look like new again. There's tons of stuff on the website for 240s. So you 240 people, man, send us one of those snow scoops. Okay, we're begging. We're trying to help you guys. You Red Block guys. You Red Block guys. We are trying to help you guys keep your stuff looking good. Looking better than new cars. Man, you know how people look at you guys while y'all driving down the road. Like, dang, that's one bad Volvo right there. If they had the snow scoops, you would even be looking better. People be like, man, I hadn't seen one of those in years. Come on, guys. Help us out here. Getting ready to confirm the timing on this engine. Man, you know, I get questions about timing all the time. I got 70 videos about timing and I still get questions. I don't quite understand it. Now, I took these cams out of this engine. I don't know why. I don't know if it even matters, but they're not variable valve timing cams. So I'm going to put the tool on the back just to make sure the timing is adjusted perfectly. The slots in the back look perfect. Part number on the exhaust cam is on the top. Part number on the intake cam is on the bottom. I'm going to put the tool in. The tool only goes one way. The slot is offset down on the exhaust, offset up.
Hello.
On the
How are you?
intake. The tool offset from center. Both of them are exactly the same. But when you put one on the intake and one in the exhaust, they're offset the way they need to be on the cam. I don't understand why I get questions about this all the time. I don't. Put the tool on there. It can only be on the right way, or the tool's not going to be centered. If you have the tool on and the cam's upside down, it's not going to be centered. I'm going to show you what it's going to look like. It's going to be like that, off center. You put the tool on the right way, it's going going to be centered on the cam. Like that. Now that looks right. The other way looks wrong. Just installing the tool. The timing's like perfect. I ain't even put the bolt in there to screw that down. Actually, this one goes on the intake cam because it has the threads in it. This one goes on the exhaust cam because it didn't have the threads in it. And that way you could put that bracket on there and bolt it on top of that head. Let me go find the rest of that tool. Here it is. This bolt here goes in there. So let me flip those real quick. So there you have it. The tool is resting on top of the head. The bolts through the tool, locking the tools together. Got the one on the intake, one on the exhaust. They look great in line with the oval shape of the cam. Now you come up here. The belt is on. The marks, however, are just a little bit off because these cams was not marked to this one. However, they still look on. That's the mark pointing to that nook. That's the mark pointing to that nook. Now you pull the pin, take the slack out of the belt. Hydraulic tensioner does the work. If you got a mechanical tensioner, now that has taken the slack out of the belt. Now I'm going to get that out of the way. I had that hold my belt from jumping. Now I'm going to put a tool on there or the crank pulley or whatever. I'm going to roll this engine around, make sure my time mark's still lined up. But the first thing I got to do is remove tool from the back. This one looks like it's pointing to this tip here instead of pointing in the valley here. Look like it's more there than it is there. But that's okay, because we know we got the tool on the back. It's set perfect. You go ahead and remove the tool. So, anytime I'm using a new set of cams, or I've had the cam sprockets or cam hubs or VVT hubs loose, you need to use a locking tool. If you have not taken the sprockets loose, the hubs loose, you really should be able to line this up with the marks and not even fool with the cam locking tool. That's where we are. Let me roll it around a couple times. Remember, I put the cams in, so I used assembly lube. That should allow me to roll these over. And I'm going to replace the spark plugs with plugs that the tuner recommended, gap to 0.026. The other thing I like to remind people is your mark in your crank gear, pulley gear, is aligned with this mark here on top of the crank gear on the outer edge of it. So that thing goes right in. This pin is just one gear tooth off. Didn't notice that before. Anyway, just want to point that out. This groove there. Sometimes you can't see that mark on the gear, but if you look down inside the pulley, you can see that little ridge right there that corresponds with that mark. So with the harmonic balancer in place, sometimes you can see down over there and see that gear when the light hits it just right. But see the mark that way. Spark plugs are either removed or loose, so there should be no compression to fight against. So you want to roll the engine over one full revolution on the cams, 2 revolutions on the crank. The crank is smaller, half the size of the cams. So let me go ahead and roll this over. It's a little tight. I'm going to take 2 hands to do it. Going around nice and smooth. Important part of making sure your engine time right and you don't have any valve contact. Coming back up on the mark. That should be perfect. Time there. Perfect there. And in the groove down there. So before you remove a belt, you set the timing up here, and everything else should be in place. Just check it before you pull the belt. Now I need to put this vinyl piece in here as a backup for this hydraulic tensioner collapsing or failing. Nice cold Chicago weather. The first one I tried broke in too. Second one went in. Time of the set, we're good to go. Time to move on. I'm gonna come to the back, get my 17mm 12-point socket, and knock all those flex plate bolts out so that I can put on the flywheel. Flex plate bolts and flywheel bolts are different. I'm pretty sure flex plate bolts are shorter. They do have thread sealer on them. Oil can hit the back of these bolts as this crank is turning around. Then you have the rear main seal behind there. When you look at the head of that, the tip of that bolt, it's wet. So you got to make sure you use a thread sealer when you put these flywheel bolts in, because you don't want them leaking oil. Now when I pull this flex plate off, if there's any oil behind here at all on this dang rear main seal, I need to replace it. Let me use two hands to get this off. There you have it, a rear main seal. It may be wet. I may need to replace that. Something's been leaking in here. Not that wet up here, and it's wet down here. So I'm gonna assume this rear main seal's leaking and replace that thing. Let me check the one I got in the car. Found this piece laying on the ground, so I'm gonna put it where it belongs. This end goes up, and this goes down right into this head right here. Blocks a channel that's there for older heads, and the cover will guide and hold it down. Whenever you pull a cylinder head cam cover off, you normally take that out, place it in the right spot. So some people have a policy of replacing a rear main seal every time a transmission comes off. I do not. This one is seeping, I would call it. It don't look like it's running down, but hey, that could change real quick. If it's seeping, if it's wet, if it looks oily, I replace it. Not trying to do this job twice. As you can see down there, it's wetter on the downside than it is the upside. All this needs to be cleaned out so it can all be re-examined, but it's definitely dry up here on this side, little wet on this side. Maybe this is all coming from a cam seal, but I'm here, why take a chance? So I'm gonna go ahead and replace this rear main seal, and I'm gonna clean this up a little bit so that it looks better in case it reoccurs. Now, I'm a good candidate for letting sleeping dogs lie. I don't believe in changing these things if they're not leaking. However, if they are leaking, they need to be changed, especially if you got the transmission off. So let's clean this up a little bit, pull this out, and replace this. I do have a rear main seal tool that is preferably used to replace these things. And you take a risk when you install these without a rear main seal tool. And you can see there how far that seal is in, right in the edge of that lip. So let's clean this up and get this replaced. I have this rear main seal here, which is an Erling. I'm pretty sure it's the right size. I'm getting ready to check it. That's the size. That may be the manufacture date. 28 week 2015. dealing with the shocking reality that no Volvo dealership in the Chicago area stocks a rear main seal. So we're going to go ahead and install this Erling because I believe it's better than the leaking one that's in there. So hopefully this will work out for us. I'm going to lubricate it. I'm going to take that current one out. I have a seal removal tool around here somewhere. Let me find it so I can get this old seal out. I seen that tool laying on the ground here a day or two ago. Grrr. Drove it in with the rear main seal tool, 2-piece. Look like it's in a good depth all the way around. Should be good to go. This one has the felt on the outside of it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and grab the cam seals and drive those in with my seal tool. Getting ready to swap over intake, exhaust manifolds, put on the flywheel, the clutch, and just start turning and burning here. I left the flywheel bolts I was going to use in Cincinnati. You can see here this flywheel bolt is longer than automatic transmission flex plate bolts. So I got to make sure I got 10 of these. I'm good to go. If not, I'm in trouble. 10 little piggies. Thank you, Lord. I am going to get this flywheel on. Get some thread sealant and get this flywheel mounted. Have the flywheel bolts torqued. Now it's time to put the clutch pressure plate on. Got the single mass flywheel on. Now I'm looking for some sandpaper to dust this off with. Then I'll put on the clutch kit. Cleaned it off with some 400 grit sandpaper. Sprayed it down with some brake parts cleaner. Then wiped it off with a lint-free cloth. The clutch kit is on and the bolts are torqued. Now we're going to clean up the mating surface. Hit it with a wire brush. Then hit it with some sandpaper. Do the same for the trans and get the transmission mounted on here. Next up, we're going to swap over the Pcv system. I don't know if this Pcv system has ever been properly done. This wraparound tube looks like it's been replaced. This tube going up to the top is not super hard, so it was probably replaced at some point. But this clamp here is not properly on all the way. It's hanging off the engine. And that clamp down there is original. Those two T25s. So I just did that PCV about 500 miles before that engine was blown. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap that stuff over here. I'm kind of surprised that this PCV wasn't. Well, I'm gonna say I stand corrected. Whoever did this PCV last did do a good job. They did do it correctly. However, they did something strange that I've never seen before. Man, that's okay. Didn't hurt anything, it was just strange. When these things were original, Volvo had a piece of rubber that one of these clamps that we seen there clamped the rubber to the pipe on the engine. The other dual clamp clamped the rubber on the bottom of the oil trap box. The box is totally clear. The hole was totally clear. That's all clear. However, whoever put this thing together, they got a new sleeve that Volvo now uses, and this sleeve is metal. Because it's metal and not only rubber, it no longer needs one clamp to clamp it on the block, the other clamp to clamp it on the bottom of the PCV box, because this is compressed against the engine and that sleeve there, and it makes a seal when you screw the box onto the block. So you got two screws that screws this oil trap box onto the block, and that makes that seal. There's no need to put metal clamps around this metal ring, and that simply threw me off. So let me go ahead and get the newer PCV stuff off of the other engine, transport it on here, get my new intake manifold gasket on there, put the intake on, and keep this train rolling. Choo choo! Man, look at that manual stuff. There's the green injectors that you find on the R model cars. We're gonna fly with those since we're upgrading to a 19T. We are done for the day. Got the intake manifold on, the green injectors in, got the timing stuff on the back, got the PCV on, and we're gonna call it a night. I have no idea why people over tighten those little screws on that Dizzy Cat rotor. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.